Okay, good evening all. This is GKQ, just zooming out. Let's sort out the camera, try and avoid the disasters I had last week. There we go. Right, and turn the volume down. Okay, I see Jim G0DQH, John JTT, Mike MJW not ready. If you come up on the screen when you are ready, Mike. Yeah, there was furious typing as usual. Sean, good evening. See you on. And Paul, good evening. That will be the order with Mike at the end when he comes up. But in fact, I will go straight after John JTT even before Sean. Parish notices. I think the main thing is please put your entry in for the contest. Get those spreadsheets filled out, which are not easy, I know. And get them sent off to Clive at contest@batc.tv. Right, round to Jim G0DQH next, and I will put you on the list, Tony. GKQ.
Okay, good evening everyone from G0DQH. Not a lot to report this week, except of course Mo and I have been out in the garden and been staining fences, and we were going to do the bottom fence this morning, and I got up early and guess what, it rained, and it's been raining all day. So that was that. And I'd like to say tonight good evening to Paul G1ZTN in Bittern, who I believe is watching tonight, and also Barry G0EYF down there in Barnstable in Devon. Good evening to you, Barry. I hope you could receive that package that I sent to you, and you got that okay. I'm on the other camera at the moment, and it's not as good as the one in the PC. So for those the setup here, this is when it arrives on the screen. That's it. Is the dish, and that's the fence to the left we did yesterday, and we've got the one down the bottom on the right to do when it's dry, of course. So a little bit closer maybe to the dish. If I can find it, I've got a load of stuff up here. This is halfway. So it's 1.3 meter dish, and the PA is to the right, and I put a box upside down on top of it that helps a little bit more to keep the water out. And you can see the cables to the left, which are the signal cables, and the mains run into the PA. And this is the actual PA. 75 watts Spectrian PA, and it's behaving itself now. Now that I found the fault wasn't with the PA at all, it was the bias supply. So that's going pretty much okay at the moment. So I've got a picture of the shack here somewhere. If I can find it. Nope. Okay, I give up. Okay, back to me, if I can find me. There we go. other than that, that's about it from me for the moment anyway. So next one on the list is John G7JTT. So I'll pass it around to you, John, from G0DQH.
Right, good evening all. I trust everybody's well. Have done some more towards my portable stuff. The screen's in, speakers are in, little Chinese 3-watt amplifier things in. It's sort of working. Still got to wait for some parts for the mini tuner to turn up, and then it's just a case of literally just wiring everything up. So if I swing that round, unfortunately I'm suffering from the same thing from earlier on, right? It's where I drop something now and break something, no doubt. Right, so if I go off there suddenly, you know I've damaged something. So there it all is in there. So you've got a little keyboard. So mine boots up to a little menu, which isn't showing up very well, unfortunately. But anyway, it's in there. Pat to say the least. But what I've done, I made like a medal there, so everything's all linked through, so no chances of earth loops. Plus, it also acts as a nice heat sink all the way through. The screen, I haven't got the camera fitted yet, but if I do, where are we? So I'm working everything upside down. Do that. And in a few seconds, you should see a port stand come up. I haven't worked out a way of changing the. I can actually see the port stand reflection there better than you can see the one there. But anyway, you get the idea. So it's getting there. If only parts would turn up quicker than they are at the moment. The other problem I'm having is that I've actually ordered stuff, and two things I've ordered, the orders have been taken, the payment taken, and then the orders cancelled. I think mainly because all the prices are going up, as I think I've said elsewhere. So anyway, so that's pretty much that. One other thing I did want to show, I was rooting through trying to find something else and came across something else that I wasn't looking for, but I have, let's turn the camera around a bit. Right, I found that, which is a little Pi module, 70 sems or thereabouts. It's got a B, so it is, not B, yeah, BGY22 and a BGY23. Should give them about 7.5 watts or so. I may just give it so you can get a watt or so of 70 stems
Good. Okay, John, we seem to lose your audio at the end there. Not quite sure why. Well, I lost it anyway. I'm not sure whether everybody else lost it, but I'm using a different receiver from everybody else. A modified ports down 4 prototype, which seems to work. Oh, Noel lost the audio as well. Okay. Current project here, having recovered from the weekend, done a few hardware fixes, put a PTT wire on the socket that I couldn't understand why the PTT didn't work for 77s, no wire on the back. A few little things like that. Main job at the moment is modifying an old Sharp mini tuner to use as Serret. So this is the old Sharp board. Let's zoom in on it. Hang on. So what I've done there, I've taken the old Sharp off of it. I haven't got an adapter card, mainly because I haven't got room for one in the box I want it to go into. And I knew John had managed to modify one to fit directly on the board with a few wires, and I'm about halfway through doing that process. So thanks for the information, John, but that's going well. So that's the main project, and that's going to get used as part of the development kit for for my version of the RIDE receiver, I hope. Let's just turn this around. Right. The other duty I have to do this evening is, as chairman, present a cheque to the 7-side ATV group. The Christmas contest, repeater contest we had, Adrian G4UVZ won it hands down for the 7-side repeater group, and as promised they will get a cheque for £100 to go to repeater funds, and I'd like to hand this to Sean G8VPG, their treasurer. So I'll just poke that down the camera and we'll see if Sean gets it. So straight over to Sean, G8VPG in the net, G8GKQ.
Right, are we in? Right, are we in? Yes, we are. And a very good evening to everybody, and a good evening to Dave, Mr. Chairman. And by the magic of teleportment, here the cheque has arrived, and it's even been colourised, as you can see. So, on behalf of the 7-side television group GB3ZZ, I would like to thank our chairman, Dave, and the BATC for this very generous prize, which is greatly appreciated. I'm a little bit out of place really, because other members of the group did all the hard work earning the points for this prize, but it is very much appreciated by all of us here in Bristol. As some of you probably know, we run a rally, the West of England Radio Rally, every year, which funds our repeater. And this rally was due to have taken place this coming Sunday, but unfortunately, like all the rallies at present, it's had to be cancelled. And so our main source of funding for the year has gone. And so this will be a very welcome addition. So thank you very much indeed. This is very much appreciated. As far as everything else goes this week, it's been mostly taken up with the contest. I managed to get out on Saturday, which proved to be a good choice of day, because Sunday it rained most of the morning and there were heavy showers in the afternoon. and I went up to Lansdowne Bath Racecourse, which is about 5 or 6 miles away from me here. And it was a nice day out. I mean, it's the first day out I've had since the lockdown, really, so it was nice to get out and play radio outside. But conditions were not very good, and the contacts which I had were quite a struggle. But in the end, thanks to the patience of Mike over in Harwell and David up at Clee Hill, we managed to get some two-ways, but they were somewhat marginal contacts. However, good day out. So I think that's about it from this end. No other news to add this week, so I'll just make it my usual single over. But as I said, thank you very much indeed for this chat. This is greatly appreciated by the Seven Side TV Group and GB3ZZ. We're very grateful to the BATC for this generous prize. So this is G8VPG in Bristol, off and clear.
Right, hopefully I'm here. So good evening to everyone, and I hope you're all having a pleasant week. I should be in H265, but I have software problems again, so I can't tell. So if someone can give me a quick OK on my video and as to whether it's actually working properly, that would be cool. What have I been up to? Not much, mucking about with SDR and pies, etc. Oh, FEC56. Just give me 1 second to drop carrier and change it. Literally. Okay, I should be back. Fine. So, yes, on the SDR side, I've got my FDM Duo hooked up to a Pi with a small display, and that's quite good because that will be integrated into my 3SEM portable system for contests up on the hill, etc. So apart from that, not really been up to much. Been at the salt mine a bit too much, which is annoying. But yeah, and I know about my light bulb. I have my single LED, and I know it isn't too good. Candles are welcome, yes, anything that will help me. But I will sort it out at some point. I wasn't reading, so I don't know who is next. Let me quickly read. It's probably Mike, is it? I don't know. So if it is, I will pass it over to him. But nice to see everyone on the net tonight. Awesome. Mike 0 Echo Yankee Tango in Wimborne. Cheers, folks.
Right, are we working? More power perhaps? And if that's enough or not? Quite a lot. I hope so. Anyway, good evening. B0MJW, let me just find a picture of this self. Say hello. Hope everyone's okay. I'm afraid it's been raining all day here, so the dish is covered in water and the feed was covered in water, but hopefully it's working. And the gods were happy, or at least the underworld gods are, Pluto god, because it actually behaved itself and locked up pretty quickly. Yeah, 30 Hertz warning. I don't think I'm going to do a 30 Hertz warning. There might be something coming up later, I don't know. I haven't really got anything specific to show everybody. Spent the weekend doing the contest, nothing much else. Apologises to those people who tried to work me on 70 Thames and didn't succeed. turns out there's something wrong with my 70 SEMS PA, antenna rather. One of the antennas. The other antenna is fine. The satellite antenna is fine. And when I switched over to that, it worked perfectly. But then it was a bit towards the end of the contest. So it was odd because Arthur, G4CP, I worked him on 23, end stop. Worked him on 2 meters, end stop. 70 SEMS, nothing whatsoever. And that was that antenna. I don't know what's gotten wrong with it. It might be the trees, but I think there's something gone wrong with the antenna. Anyway, there you go. So what I'm working on today, at the moment is implementing this. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. I guess a few of you will. It's an LTEC flat pack, which I've had for quite some time. It's a big, hefty power supply. Are you going to focus? Oh yeah, okay. So it's 53.5 volts at 37.4 amps, but I'm going to turn it down to 48 volts and use that for powering LDMOS PAs. So I'm just making the gubbins to sort out the back. I've got a PCB from someone else, which allows me to plug into that slot there and then utilize it because it's supposed to plug into a rack. And in the background you can see the excellent software, Dave's software, working nicely with the ports down. My other ports down is over the other side of the room. That's all complete now, and it is working well, but it's not plugged in, so it's not going to receive anything at the moment. The other thing I tried to do was use the software demodulator decoder that Marco has kindly made, and yes, it works. It works even better when you realise that you've got to be on the right polarisation. My Pluto is normally used for SSB, so the receive side is plugged into the SSB receive polarisation, and that made all the video signals rather weak. But when I sorted that out, it started to work, and that's pretty good. So it's an entire software solution for receiving DATV. Very good. Right, that's enough. So anyone who is using a what would you call it? I don't know, a bass box perhaps, or a subwoofer, or wearing headphones had better take cover. G0MJW.
Right, okay then. I know I've got a bit of an audio issue, but not necessarily alone. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what the audio issue is. Potentially a power supply or something. I'm not sure. I'm running the Buster version on a Raspberry Pi 4. So I don't know if I've got the Raspberry Pi 4 too close to the touch screen or something like that. So I haven't been able to resolve this one, and it may go off altogether. We don't know. It's not a lot to show. Well, there could be, but it's not radio related. It's been one crisis after another, as often is the case in these parts. But domestic issues have abounded here and have kept me out the shack. So we had a hot water cylinder split on us and try and flood the house. Fortunately, it was I spotted it. I could hear this dripping sound when I was asleep in bed, and I managed to prevent too much damage in that regard. But and more latterly, XYL snapped a key off in the car, which caused all sorts of problems with trying to get the transponder to work. So there we are. Hopefully it's still going. Let me just have a quick listen to my audio. Oh, it's sort of working, isn't it? It's sort of working. But I've had this issue for a little while. I haven't had the time to really get down and have a look at it, but it wasn't quite as bad as this previously. But I'm not sure quite what it is. I wondered if, well, others can tell me if they're receiving it. You know, I get this 1 second pulse all the time. I'm not sure what it is really, but it's not necessarily related well, it could be easy cap issue possibly, I don't know. But I tried just Logitech camera and audio previously, or just a few minutes before we came on, and I had the same issue on that, so I can sort of rule out those issues really. So I'm not quite sure what it might be, but something that I need to try and track down. Some sort of QRM somewhere it seems, but I tried it on 3/4 as well earlier. That usually works on pretty much everything on my ports downs, but it was still on that, so you know, not necessarily just that. But using a different camera today, I'm using my little Panasonic instead of the more usual elderly JVC. It does seem to give a better picture actually. Even this one's not that new. This one's a second-hand one I found on eBay. I've had it on the search for a long time. It's the same as this camera, and I happened across another one going cheap. So we got that. So that's not too bad. And the lip sync is perfect, is it? Oh, okay, thank you, Dave. Yes, it was. You know, this issue is a bit of a weird one, really. I have had further Windows updates. I don't know what they've been up to, but so I wonder if it might be just a receiving issue. I don't know, but I don't think so. I've probably got more than one issue going on here. But anyway, we'll get on with that. Been having a bit of fun with the Langston receiving the narrowband on the satellite. I don't know. I quite enjoy that sort of thing. It's very interesting. Was it last night? I think night before, perhaps. There was a couple of stations on the satellite. One a G station and the other a German station, and they were contemplating, both of them, taking up ATV. Obviously, so that's quite a good thing, really, to think that the satellite is encouraging people to consider doing ATV on the satellite, the ones that are doing the narrowband. So very pleased with that. Okay, I spent my audio is causing chaos, so I'll leave it there. And there's quite a few stations on. Okay then, 7310 G.
Yeah. So not a lot to report here. I think everybody else was very wrapped up in the contest over the weekend. With the chat on all real answers. And was 70, 23, 13, 9, 6, 3, 24, 50, so 8 bands. And to be honest, I was absolutely shattered when I got back on Sunday. And of course, you back is there's a brewery in the shack. In fact, that's the picture at the moment. And one you can really see is piles of cables, which still need to be put away after the contest. I think there's one thing of note. I didn't turn my laptop on at all over the weekend. It's important to turn on transmit and along with push down the receiver on receive. And I did that for 30 years old, and all perfect. Instant lock. Not only flashing around pressing buttons as there is on them. The tuner. And it crashed once. It was pretty remarkable, really. So I think I've definitely seen the future. It's probably not PC based anymore, but
the long weekend. So no, it was a good weekend. As they said, pretty tiring. That's the end result. And one conclusion really came out about three failures. Had the end type socket fall off change relay. There's a leaf end up on the feeder. I have fixed that. And the end result really is that part of the cable told me I've got to build a one box solution. And currently I've got the hardware, which is put down in one box. So then I've got separate and separate transfer as a separate and all receivers are another box. And just the number of interconnects is usually many. So one big box is the way forward. So that's what I'll be probably working on next. But we've had such a great time over the weekend. We've already set the target for the next 3 months. So the day in July and then a 2 meters contest in August and a low band 70 Mexican made contest in September. So hopefully we'll see a few more people compete. Anyway, that's probably it from me for now. So I'll say please mark it over to Tony. Q0QZ.
Well, we've got carrier. And I hear audio back. And I'll just shut the audio down on this one. So there we go. Thank you, Noel. And good evening to all on station. I won't hold it too long. We have a net on 2 meters when we don't get the local QRM. And we've got one particular guy there who knows everything about everything. There's nothing that he doesn't know about, but I think we get those wherever we go. And good evening to, I won't mention all the names of who is there, but Colin crops up again. I think the last time we had a QSO via the satellite, I asked you about a guy up in Ringwood who used to be our engineer for the television company, and I wondered whether you had any contact with him. G6 or G7 or was it G8? Anyway, his name escapes me again for a minute, but then that's age, you see. Right, I wish you hadn't mentioned about cameras, because I've just had to spend just short of 100 quid to get a Logitech 910, and I did apply. I did put in the bid with a guy, but he came back and said he tested the camera and he's refunded me because it didn't work. One would have thought that he would have done that before he actually put it for sale. So anyway, that's that. Now we have a problem as far as all those brains out there are concerned, and that is if I go it on my one computer, it's only one particular computer, it's my desktop, which is down over there, and I go on to the narrowband SDR, and I go with the mouse as we do with the laptop, and fidget about with the mouse to fine tune with the roller wheel, and it works perfectly okay on both of my laptops, well 3 of my laptops actually, and it doesn't work with the desktop. Now they're wireless mouses, or are they mice, and I've changed the mouses about, reinstalled, I don't think you have a driver for a mouse because it just relies on Windows, and but it doesn't work on this particular one. And what happens when you roll the wheel to try and get the frequency correct, it doesn't fine tune, it just goes up and down with the screen as if you've got the mouse out on the outside. So I don't know whether anybody's got any answers to that, or whether I should put it on the net to see whether anything happens as far as that's concerned. Right, okay, Sorry I didn't come up earlier on, but I've been trying all different mices, sorry, different cameras, and I hadn't actually switched the USB to be on when I went to transmit. But that's always the way that things work. And also, Dave, I have had a bit of a problem with trying to get audio to work through the EasyCap, and video to work through the VideoCap as well. And I don't know whether there's any updates as far as that's concerned. I've got the latest updates as far as all the other bits and pieces are concerned. Anyway, nice to hear you all. First time on this net. Hope I haven't been too boring for you. And I don't know who it is next. What have I got down here? G8 GKQ. Dave. Oh, back to you then, Dave. G0AZQ.
Right, from G4EML, I think it was round to me next. Just make sure I've got some audio. Yes, I have, good. Yeah, good evening all. Nice to get back on the net again. I must admit I've completely forgotten about it for the last 2 weeks. I've suddenly realised come about 9:30 in the evening that I've missed the net, so hopefully I've well, I have remembered tonight, but hopefully I'll remember in the future and manage to get on again. Nice to see everyone so far. I think I might have missed the first couple of people, but I'm sure I'll get some pictures on the next time round. No idea what your problem with the mouse might be, Tony. Not sure about that. That doesn't make much sense to me either. Normally if the mouse carries on scrolling the page, it's because you haven't clicked inside the page you want to scroll on, but if it's working on your other computers, I don't understand why that one wouldn't work. So I don't know. Maybe someone else has got some other ideas. I've been fairly busy in the shack building things over the last couple of weeks. I've been building for 3 centimetres, mostly for narrowband rather than TV, but it would work on both. I built myself up a little beacon station for 10 gigs, which is giving me about 10 milliwatts on 10368 for test purposes. I've built myself up a 2-watt PA loosely based on the American Down East microwave design, but with a device bought from China, which I took a bit of a gamble on, but it does appear to work, so I've got 2 watts out of that. And last couple of days I've been building the 122 gigs gear from VK3CV, I think it is. The board's finally arrived. So this is one of the 122 gig units that I've managed to get built up. There's a little board in there that he was producing, built up using the silicon radar chips for 122, and that's the feed for the dish on the end there. And that links to a remote control panel like that, which does all the switching and control of it. So it's not quite a transverter, it's a mixer on receive and a CW source on CW or FM on transmit, so you can't transmit SSB unfortunately, and I don't think it would work on TV, although I haven't really put much thought into that. But I suspect it wouldn't. But anyway, it's another toy to play with. Only had that a couple of days. I've only really got it working for the first time today across the bench. I'm now got to work out somewhere mounting it all on a dish and seeing how far it'll go. Probably not very far. Right, I'm looking at my list. It would work on TV. Okay. Would it work on TV? Why would it work on TV? I suppose it might. Yeah, FM TV, it certainly would. Yeah, you could modulate analog FM TV, definitely. It's a definite possibility. Okay, I think it's round to, let me quick look, G0DQH now. So I'll put the test card up again and then hand it over from G4EML.
Right, apologies for the audio earlier and again just now. Windows is driving me nuts. The sooner I can get away from Windows, I've got to use the C90 audio at the moment, so apologies for the fans as well. But basically, Windows is the bane of my life. In the last few days, there's been umpteen updates, and it just gets slower and slower and slower and more non-productive every single day. All I've got running at the moment is OBS, and I'm maxing out about 80 something odd percent CPU. It never used to be that. It used to be sort of 10-15%. There is nothing else running. The fan runs constantly. I'm so tempted just to scrap the whole thing and just go over to Linux, but there's just some bits and pieces that I need that work on Windows, and it's a real bind. I have no interest in following Windows at all at the moment. So anyway, that's my life at the moment. Yeah, not too much else to add. Just it's quite warm in here at the moment. I've had to close windows due to potential rain and stuff, which is not always good. Just trying to think what else I've done. Nothing really. I think that's about it. I think. Oh, my signal's a bit weaker again as well. I think I have an ongoing issue. I have Heliacs coming from the PA to the potty feed on front of the dish, and there's about an 8-inch piece of is it RG402, the copper hardline stuff anyway, and I suspect that with heating and cooling it's moving very slightly and it keeps fracturing, and I think that's why my signal's so weak at the moment. I should be a good few dB up on this. What am I receiving myself at? Yeah, I'm only just above threshold. I should be 6 or 7 dB, so I'm probably a couple of dB down at least. So anyway, that's that. Right, busy old transponder. So round to Paul, M0EYT G7 JTT.
Echo Yankee Tango. Right, that's quite enough of that racket. Yeah, thanks. You will be pleased to know that I've put tuppence in the meter, and as you can see there's a little bit more light on the case, which is good. It's only a temporary solution. It's this thing here, stretched across the shack here with a bit of wire. Oops, things falling off everywhere. Yeah, good video from everyone tonight, which is nice to see. I would echo John's frustration with the utter abomination that is Windows 10. You can see why people get rapidly turned off this utter garbage. It should never be put out to market in its current state with us as the beta testers. I was commenting today to somebody at work that I don't remember all these infinite problems in the MS-DOS days. It was just it just worked, which is quite nice. But under on Windows 10 laptop at the moment, Minituner still will not produce video in its own window. It spawns sometimes an external window. For example, now the window is completely gone, but the audio works. So a bit of a loss there. On my PC with OBS, I rolled that back to Windows 7. I got sick to death of the Windows 10 shenanigans, so that had to go. Can't remember who it is next. Let me just quickly read down the or up the list to see. I can't remember who's next. Sorry about that, but go ahead and TX now. This is Mike 0 Echo Yankee Tango.
Okay, M0EYT in the group G8GKQ. Yeah, Windows 10, big problems. That's why Noel and I have been going towards using the Portsdown / Longmid receiver. Yeah, there does seem to be some issues tonight with people with big shoulders and very busy transponder. Anyway, hopefully I'm reasonable level. 6 amps LS, that should be reasonable. Some comments. Tony, the reason you can't get an easy cap going is probably because you haven't bought one from the BATC. Although they all look the same outside, only the BATC ones are guaranteed to work with Portsdown. They're cheap, they're worth the money. So please, that will sort out your Portsdown easy cap problems. They have different chipsets inside, even though they look the same. Colin, 122 gigs looks good. Haven't played with that at all. Not going to too many other things to do, but really good. And interested to see the 10 gigs amp there. Colin, G4KLB, wonder what hardware you are using and what software version precisely you are using, because I thought I had cured the problem that you are having. So please tell me exactly which version, etc., etc. And I'm interested to know what issues people have with the Pluto. I know Mike, in fact you can tell me because you're on next. Mike, I know you keep moaning about issues with the Pluto. What is the issue? Is it something I should be worried about if I'm looking at using a Pluto for TV? And the good news is I've finished my tuner. I'll not test it until until I stop running a net, because I need to give it my full attention to keep the magic smoking. Round to Mike, G0MJW, and the net, G8GKQ.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Mute myself. Right. The Pluto. Well, the problem is it's with OBS. It's not always catching the video. I'm sure it's not really the Pluto's fault. It's just the firmware. It works with DATV Express and everything else, but it's getting the H.264 to capture. It works much better with H.265. It works very well with H.265. But H.264 doesn't seem to capture the video stream, so that's why. Right. Let's move on. Collection of gadgets here in front of you, or in front of me. Hopefully they'll appear on the screen in a second. So this was an interesting gadget I managed to purchase, which I don't know if you can see that, but it's a USB power supply. Not going to focus, is it? Typical. Anyway, it produces up 0 to 30 volts of a USB supply. It's quite handy. And it can use a USB-C and or one of the other USBs that gives you a strong, a higher voltage, so you can get a few amps out of it if you want to. Rather handy. That's just the PCB for the LTEC. But I have a question for Paul. So Paul, pay attention. You'll know what that is, obviously. It's a mill, end mill, but I'm looking at this. This is what fits into my mill, and I've got a set of these metric 16, 14, 12 and 10, I think, and I'm not quite sure what they're called. In order to order some of these things that might be somewhat sharper, and I don't mean in focus, but sharper anyway, and maybe a bit smaller sizes. So I'm just trying to work out what that is, and Paul will know. Maybe other people will know as well. Anyway, yes, I know it's a collet, Paul. What type of collet? You put collet into eBay, you get thousands of different options, none of which actually look like that. So it's understanding what type of collet it is. Right. I think that's enough from me. So I hope everyone has a good week and keeps healthy. Back to the test card. And the other test card this time. G0MJW.
Okay then, jolly good. Might get my own signal eventually. Struggling a bit this evening. There we are. Let's find the... I'm trying to find the mute. Hang on. there we are. That's going across two screens, does that. But yeah, I'm running the... I did an update actually. I was a version behind, but I did an update to the ports down this evening because I spotted the trouble just before I went on SQ, and so I did an update this evening to the latest normal version. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with the audio on this particular one. It's all right on other ones, but so I'm using EasyCap from the BATC. For video and audio actually this evening, so that seems to work quite well. So it works very well usually actually. But yeah, strange audio effects. I've had reception trouble with with several audios as well, and a couple of stations because it's so busy I didn't receive directly. But those are a little bit lower. I'm not that much higher myself actually. So I'm only well, I've got a sad face actually. Got a sad face on there. And as Tony's question, I have seen the person you mentioned from Ringwood. We do have two members on from Ringwood actually. So we've got Ian and the other one. I've gone blank for a minute. But and John, yeah, Ian and John from Ringwood. So we're quite well. There's quite a bit of ATV activity. It's the most popular direction actually on GB3 SQ. So that's all right. Yeah, I haven't used this one so much recently because I've also been playing with the Pluto. I thought I hadn't done anything, but I have done something because I've been I bought myself a Leo Bodner and attached it to the Pluto, because I figured it might help for the narrowband. Absolutely amazing thing, really well impressed with that. I have got other references as well, but that is a pretty good reference with the GPS aerial unplugged. It's actual fact, but gave a good showing on the frequency counter, and certainly more accurate than another version I was using, although both would have been actually suitable for the purpose. But yeah, quite staggering how accurate it was. But yeah, so well, and they're quite tiny too. So we'll be doing that. I was thinking of having several different TCXOs to be switchable on there, but I've decided that it's unnecessary now. So we've not doing that. But yeah, I've been absent for a couple of weeks on the satellite. 1 week I was working, and the second week I was trying to get hot water to the house. So we were out without hot water for a week, which was a bit problematic to say the least. So I've mastered the art of having a complete wash and shave with just one kettle of water. But fortunately now we're in the lap of luxury, and everything's done now. So that's good. Dear oh dear. Right, that's probably enough from me. So I'd say I'd be interested to know anything else I can try. I wondered if regarding my audio issue on this one, I don't seem to have the problem so much. If I keep losing my signal and it unmutes the receiver. Perhaps I'll just turn the volume down. That'll probably cure that. There we go. Yeah, I'm having a job to receive myself today actually, so it's quite busy on the satellite. Right, okay then. 73s then, and hopefully next week, let me think what's on we on next. Yeah, we should be alright for next week, so hopefully we'll do a better showing. I think it's over to Noel now.
Yes, okay. Not too much more since not going on to not going to hold it long day. Can't remember who can do it, but it was very lonely. But still really coming from the weekend and thinking about the next project is probably to look at the big box. It could be a very big box. Right, okay, I'll sign for everybody and see some friends. Good to see you all on. Quite successful on that. So, yeah, worth doing. Okay, GTZ.
So there we are, we've shot up with a signal. Good evening all. Again, let's just mute the sound. And yes, to Colin, G4KLB. It's John Hannay. I should know him. He was our engineer at Supersonic in Ringwood when I was the another engineer, or I was the outside engineer, and we also took the problem TVs back to John, and he was an absolute magic on video recorders and was able to do the old VHS recorders. I don't think he had anything to do with the other ones, the Betamax. I think he was into that. So there we go. Pass on my best wishes when you next speak to him, Colin. And I seem to remember we were cut short on our last QSO on the satellite with your I think it was your child had got something in its eye, and and you had to suddenly cut everything short. Right, okay, Noel, EasyCap will be on order in the next half an hour or so, and we'll see if we can organise something as far as that's concerned. And I wonder if anybody's got any comments about what level of audio you need to put in to the EasyCap. I'll no doubt when I receive it I'll be able to find out what level of audio is necessary to put in. But I've got two of these EasyCaps. They were here, and they've got a name somewhere along the line, plugged in, I don't know. So anyway, that's that. And as far as Logitech cameras are concerned, I had to pay the best part of nearly 100 quid tonight to get a 910, which I think probably is better than the 920, which is the one I'm using at the moment. But I need two. I can't be messed with putting them between what we have on Zoom on a Wednesday night from the local radio club, the Hornsey Amateur Radio Club. And well, I'm afraid the purists are saying, oh, it isn't really radio, is it? But of course we can't meet at the club at the moment because of the rules and regulations. Right, okay, no comment on the mouse doesn't fine tune on the narrowband. I can't make that out. I don't understand why it is. It's just that one particular computer, and I've changed the mouse from even to a wired mouse and done all the other bits and pieces, but all the other computers work perfectly okay. So you might say, well, use the other computers. It's like the story when you go to the doctor, isn't it? You know, so I've got a pain in my shoulder when I go like that, and he just says to you, well, don't go like that then. Okay, nothing else to report. Paul, M0EYT, if you're still on, from Wimborne. I didn't know you but maybe you might have known me when I was G6IAC in Ringwood and transmitting pictures on 70SEMs back to Henry, G4VLP, who unfortunately now is Silent Key. and he was in Westmoors. So but I mean that's going back. My God, that's going back about 25, 30 years. Okay, I'll put it back to the head of the shop on drop carrier, and then you can pass it on. Oh, G4EML I've got here from Dave. So G4EML to take it, G0AZQ. Wishing all stations 7-3. Good night.
Yeah, G4EML. Many thanks for letting me back in again. Mute the audio. I might automate that. There must be a way of automatically muting it. I think when it sees my call sign come up, that'll be a useful addition, wouldn't it? A few comments. Yeah, Logitech cameras. I think they've become a bit of a rarity. Everyone wants them for Zoom nowadays. So I think nearly all webcams have gone up in price over the last few months. So they may go back down again eventually, but I think they're getting quite difficult to get hold of. I think I paid about 35 for mine, but I know they have gone up quite high again. So it's down to supply and demand, I think. What other comments have I got on my little note? Oh, the Leo Bodnar GPS unit. Yeah, they are pretty good. They do work very well. I think Colin was mentioning that. I've got one of the dual output ones in the shack, and I've also got one of the miniature single ones down on the LMB down near the dish. And to be honest, they both work just as well as the other. The dual output one, in theory, would be a good idea, but in practice, you can't really. You haven't got the capability of programming the two outputs to any frequency you want. So really, the single one is probably the easier one to go for, and they're not too expensive. What other comments I've got? Windows 10 updates. Yeah, I've been a bit frustrated with that this week for various reasons. I've got one machine that constantly tries to update and fails, and loops around a reboot loop about 3 times before it starts up, and then you tell it to ignore that update, and it does it for about a week, and then decides it wants to try it again, and finds that it can't do it, and does the same thing again. So it would be very nice to be able to turn the updates off on Windows 10, but they don't seem to want you to do that. I think there are backdoor ways of turning them off, but it's not ideal by any means. Dave's comments about Pluto. I'm finding the Pluto pretty good for ATV, Dave. I'm using it now, and for me it works really well with OBS. It does struggle a little bit with the H.265 encoder sometimes, but I think that's gets a bit complicated over the network on the side of that. I think if it was on its own network, it would be fine. But for the TV transmission like this, it seems to work very well indeed. And obviously it works for the Langston as well, so it seems to be quite pleased with that. Although they are pretty touchy with power supply and earth loops and things, so they're not the most stable of devices. I think it's a case of once it's working, leave it well alone. Right, that's it from me. Put it back round to whoever's next. GKQ next to close the net, it says. Put it round to you, Dave, and thanks very much for everyone coming up tonight.
From GKQ. Okay, well thanks everybody for coming on tonight. Been a good net, no major issues. Just going through a few comments. Webcams, yeah, there is an issue with webcams. The C920 looked a really good choice when we chose it for Portstown because it was available for 25 quid from Amazon. I'm now looking for the successor for the C920 for the Portstown because I really have to write everyone in individually. But I think we're going to wait till the panic is over with all the Zoom calls before we can pick that one. The Leo Bodnar units, yeah, they're very good. In fact, the Goon Hilly Web SDR uses one for both the locking the outside LNB and for locking all the air spies that are used there as well. And thanks for the comments on the Pluto. Yep, I'm doing some work on mine and trying to get it doing TV as well. So thanks all for coming up. Same time, same place next week. G8GKQ closing the BATC net and leaving it to anybody else. G8GKQ.